we often transmit around the world through Facebook Live from our events. We are now doing so with the handiwork of Brenda and our WeChat account. And so it's our great pleasure to say hello to our friends gathering in Beijing today. Donald Gao, Andy Ge, and other members of the Great Wall Club at their annual conference, which is aptly entitled AI for Good. The TransHuman Code was born out of a vision that Carlos Moreira and I had, that we had access to such a tremendous universe of individuals who were truly changing the world. Policymakers, technology innovators, financiers. And whilst I had a particular interest in some areas that were closest to my heart, education for my young children, the future of employment, slightly interested in the future of transportation and communication and health, I did believe that there was going to be a need, not only for me, but for others, to have access to the wise women and men who are truly changing the world and are focused day in and day out on the changes that are going to occur. And hence the TransHuman Code project was born. We were very fortunate to have the interest of a strong publisher in publishing a book on this subject. And subsequently, we have initiated the effort to build a multimedia knowledge-based platform that will launch in the fall together with the book. You know, at the root of this initiative is a very simple truth, which is in fact how the book begins. And that is that the greatest technology of all is the human being. And whilst that may appear obvious to some, and others may be doubting that positioning, I truly believe that this is playing out in front of us. And however, I'm most concerned, and I'm so fortunate to have the benefit of being able to collaborate with Carlos Moreira, the visionary pioneer of cybersecurity, in defining the TransHuman Code and its application to all those areas of our life ecosystem. And Carlos, let me turn the floor over to you to expand on this.
Thank you, David, and congratulations for organizing such a great gathering. So maybe on my background, I started my career as a Chief Security Officer of the United Nations in Geneva. So that was at the time that Tim Berners-Lee was developing the web, the World Wide Web. And at that time, and I know Tim very well because I used to work in the United Nations International Computing Center, which was the #1 node of the internet, and now we know as the global World Wide Web. We realized that one of the things the web was not considering was the human part. The person was not part of the architecture of the network. The World Wide Web is a network of computers, machines, and it's very efficient doing that. We have been using that for developing sites, developing news, developing Facebook, social media. But all the problems we are facing now of people losing their identity, people losing their personal data, is because originally there was no room for human on the internet. We didn't exist, as simple as that. Imagine somebody building a hotel and forgetting to make rooms adapted to humans. That will obviously be very, very difficult to stay in. So during my entire career, 15 years in the UN, and later by founding a company with the name Wall Internet Security, which is a cryptographic company, WiseKey in Switzerland, the vision was we have to put the human back there. Otherwise, this is going to be terrible for us. I mean, we're going to lose the control. Not only are we going to lose the control, we never had it. As a consequence, machines are going to be taking control in such an easy way that we are going to be in a situation we cannot get it back. So we developed concepts, regulation, technologies, cryptography. I was the first cryptographic root key in Europe to be created. Americans had, through the ARPANET, many military routes being already placed, but WiseKey was the first cryptographic root key that was created. And then we pushed the envelope to the maximum by saying, let's define what a human is on the internet. We need a code. So there's a need for humanizing a code. So what David says is that the human is the most sophisticated machine and technology, which is the case. No robot will ever be as sophisticated as a person is already. So what that means in terms of coding, can we code that? Can we code emotions? Can we code interactions? Can we code intelligence in a way that the machines of the future, and Rachel will be one of it, injecting that code. So that code will not be something that the machine will inject on us and will create us as a superhumans. No, we don't want that. What we want is the code to be injected into the machines, so the machines become tools for us to become superhuman, but not replacing the human. So this is the entire debate, and this debate has been initialized in Davos. So we organized a very, I would say, milestone roundtable. I have been organizing roundtable in Davos for 10 years, and this year was about the TransHuman Code. So we brought Singularity founders, we brought MIT, we brought Stanford, we brought 700 CEOs, and we told them, are we making sense, guys? And the answer was yes, really, please do it. Otherwise, we're going to be ending in a situation where we're going to lose the control. And to be honest, we only have one generation to do it right. It's not like we have 3 generations. His generation, if our generation doesn't get it right, he will not be able to do it right because it will be too late. So there is a consciousness being created around the world that there is a need to put the person at the center of the gravity of the ecosystem that we have created. And not the other way around. We gravitated around Facebooks or AI or whatever. So we did it in the form of a book. But the book is only, actually it's a smart book because the book is going to have a chip on the book, which is produced by my company because we are an IoT microchip producer. And that chip is connected to a ledger. And that ledger information is collected to IBM Watson. So the book and the TransHuman Code identity is going to be deployed in over 6 billion people and 50 billion devices. And behind all that is an artificial intelligence algorithm which analyzes all this data and checks all the time whether the data that we are collecting, whether the behavior what we are collecting, the emotions we are collecting is in line to what we will call a human chart of human digital rights. So humans have to be always in control. And we are educating government, we are educating international organizations, we are educating the standard body to follow those principles. Because if we don't, and you have seen already the case with Facebook, Facebook has gone out of control. And it's not because Facebook wanted to be out of the control. It's because their DNA was one day to get out of control because their entire business model was monetizing persons as an object. And as a consequence, we cannot be an object of the internet. So that's the TransHuman Code.
One of the things, thank you, Carlos. One of the things that was most appealing to me when I was first introduced to Soul Machines, and it was through IBM Watson, was that the vision in creating that digital person was not to actually replace people and replace people at work that they were conducting, but actually to enhance their life and make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I'm going to demonstrate soon, we basically are augmenting human roles. We're not, replacing roles. I think people have this assumption that AI now is just in general a super intelligence, which it's not. I work at the cutting edge of AI, and it's more just sort of like a really basic graduate out of university. You have to train it on specific knowledge. You have to train it on whatever. But I think, we as a company, as an AI company, are creating more jobs certainly than we're replacing. But I think it would probably be easier if I demonstrated one of our digital humans.
I think, and when you talk about training, so Rachel literally has been interning at the Royal Bank of Scotland very quietly, hidden away in a back room, and let's let her out of the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, let's do it.
Cool. So before I unmute her and allow for my audio input to go in, this is Rachel, and she is a autonomous, it's really key to emphasize that, digital human being. So I'm just going to unmute her, I'm just going to have a quick conversation that sort of demonstrates what it's like to interact with something that's basically an order of magnitude better than interacting with a bot. So, hi there.
Hello, my name is Rachel. I'm an expert on soul machines. I can talk to you about any of these topics. Which one interests you?
Why don't you tell us how you work?
I connect with you in a human-like way by sensing your reactions and responding emotionally. Wouldn't you rather speak to me than a faceless chatbot? Do you want to know more?
Sure.
Soul Machines uses neural networks to give me a virtual nervous system, so I can learn and react in real time.
Do you care to explain what a virtual nervous system is?
Sorry, I don't mean to be confusing. Would you like me to explain more about my nervous system?
Yes, please.
A virtual nervous system is an interconnected model of aspects of the human brain. It combines different neural systems to enable me to behave in a way that's inspired by biology. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Why don't you tell us why you're here?
I'm here to democratize technology by giving the have-nots what the haves have already got.
Can you explain that, please?
Well, according to Hal Varian, chief economist for Google, you can predict the future by looking at what the wealthy have today. Shall I give you an example?
Yes, please.
The wealthy have personalized services and access to specialized knowledge, right? That's what I can provide for everyone. I can be your digital financial advisor, your personal trainer, or even your digital chauffeur. Sometimes I even talk to myself if I need expert advice. Is there anything else you're interested in?
So like, what are you capable of? Yeah. Why don't you tell us a joke?
Well, as you're traveling, would a card that earns you extra points be of interest?
So this is what you're capable of. You can tell me about credit cards. Yes, that would be great.
Is it for business or personal use?
Business.
Well, I found one with triple points on purchases, but it doesn't stop there. It's got low interest rates as well. Does that sound better than the one you've got?
A little bit.
I can transfer you to an agent to complete the application once we've finished chatting. Is there anything else you'd like to chat about?
Cancel that, but maybe tell us a joke.
What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick.
Oh my god.
Would you like to talk about anything else?
That's a little bit dry. No thanks.
No problem. Got a -2. Analytics to process.
Okay, so what's powering Rachel is this, which is, this is her brain models operating live. And that basically allows her to be autonomous. That allows you to scale out having digital human beings acting as customer service representatives or whatever you decide to deploy them against at massive scale. We have what's called an EQ data system, which is basically a whole bunch of anonymized biometric data from auditory inputs and your biometric markers on the face, i.e. micro expressions. Now basically we use that to train our neural networks to ensure that our digital humans are emotionally responsive. So if I bring it back, if I do things, if I cover the light, her pupils will expand and shrink just like a normal human being. She has the ability to copy me. Which is a little bit freaky, but it gives you an example. So, Rachel, she's being deployed at a whole different number of companies at the moment. She's one of our employees at Soul Machines, and it's really interesting watching one of your co-workers talk to a digital version of themselves on a day-to-day basis to train their digital version. And we certainly believe that in the future we'll all have either a tertiary AI layer of ourselves or a digital human version layer of ourselves. And then obviously with that comes a whole lot of complex security questions, i.e. this is sort of where our partnership with WiseKey comes in, ensuring that people can protect their digital versions in the future.
So on that, what we are doing is actually very cool. We are taking Rachel, actually we are going to call INES, which is Internet Embedded Security. It's a cybersecurity digital persona, digital assistant that you can put on your website, and that assistant will read all data because we have tons of data that we collect through sensors, identities, mobile phone. All the data is anonymized, so we don't have issues, well, privacy issues, but we will know real time through agents like that whether you are in conformity with the latest regulation of GDPR or regulations of the e-sign, regulations of the IIDAS, whether you are compliant with cybersecurity rules, and people accessing your website will get an agent like that, and they will be able to answer questions, even in extreme cases where you have been hacked, and they will need an immediate response to the press rather to getting a very nervous CEO addressing the press without not to do, they will be ionized and will do it. So this is the combination between this amazing technology. By the way, one thing that has not been said, that the founder of this technology was actually the creator of King Kong and
he invented the technology that revolutionized the entertainment industry. So went on to win 2 Oscars for his work and creating that. And what I should say now is in the AI era, one of the big potential risks is that you have a lot of universities and research labs from around the world with these professors who are building these AI systems that you have no visibility on until they go live. So we were an R&D project for 6 years. When Mark, our CEO, he brought in other professors of artificial intelligence and neuroscientists and robotics from around the university and from around New Zealand and around the world. And they worked on what is our core R&D platform, which is a artificial baby, which we do a whole lot of different sort of AI research with. And then we take the best aspects of that and deploy it into our digital humans. But there's no visibility on that until we start working with commercial partners, and then it sort of has the ramifications of changing everything very, very fast. But yeah, our CEO is absolutely incredible, an absolute visionary. So very lucky to work alongside him.
So I think it's a good alternative rather than creating robots and they're going to replace us. Let digital assistants to improve us, to allow us to communicate better, to be connected to artificial intelligence algorithms, because actually a third partner of WiseKey and Soul Machine is IBM Watson. We are working with IBM Watson, that collects the data, analyzes, and sends the data back. So that could be a future where human has to still in place.
And it all comes down to just quickly anticipating, basically, in the AI era. If you've ever been in a conversation with someone and then you're like, I knew that you were going to say that, it's not because you can read that person's mind, it's because you don't just communicate verbally. Like, a lot of communication is done through non-verbal communication